Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! Let's go!
NBA players who play like other NBA players. Have you ever found yourself watching an NBA game and then realize that a certain individual player kind of plays like another player that you've seen before? In this video, I will be listing players that play extremely similar and almost identical to another player from the past. And I'm very curious to see if you guys agree with me. I hope you enjoy the video. Isaiah Thomas and Chris Paul. When you think of the definition of a true point guard, one of the main players that come to mind nowadays is Chris Paul. But back in the day, that player was Isaiah Thomas. In my opinion, CP3 and Isaiah Thomas both mirror each other in a lot of ways. They're both extremely competitive, giving it their all with 100% maximum effort every time they step foot on the court. They always seem to have a chip on their shoulder, partially because they both are little guys. But they always seem to prove that size doesn't matter, and it can be very dangerous for opponents when the ball is in their hands. Chris Paul and Isaiah Thomas are two of the best floor generals the game has ever seen. CLYDE DREXLER and Andrew Wiggins. Sometimes when I see Andrew Wiggins play, it takes me back to when I used to watch highlights of CLYDE DREXLER. DREXLER and Wiggins are both known for being high flyers. They look very smooth in the air and it almost seems effortless for them. It's very hard to stop them when they're penetrating to the basket, and they are very good in transition. Now combine all of that with decent shooting and you will get an excellent player in CLYDE DREXLER and Andrew Wiggins. Allan Houston and Bradley Beal. Allan Houston was an overall solid player back in his days in the NBA, and you can say the same thing about Bradley Beal and what he's doing in the NBA right now. When it comes to Houston and Beal, what I notice right off the bat is their solid size and strong build, with almost identical height and weight. But that's not the only thing they have in common. It could be just me, but I think their shooting forms are very similar, and both have consistent follow-throughs. They can also beat you every time with their quick first step, and can get past you off the dribble. And the fact that they both finish around the rim is always a plus. I'm pretty sure none of you will complain if Bradley Beal or Allan Houston is on your team. TRACY McGrady and Paul George. Now this comparison is one of the main reasons why I decided to make this video, and because I'm so surprised that nobody really compares them to one another. But I'm going to tackle that right now. I used to watch T-Mac back when he was in his prime, and almost immediately you can tell that he was an elite scorer on the highest level, and Paul George is certainly on that same level. Now to me, they literally look like the same player. They have the prototypical size for a small forward, and have identical playstyles. They both have great one-on-one skills with above average ball handling skills for the small forward position. Very versatile and dynamic in a lot of ways, with tremendous lift on their jump shot, and can get hot from outside. They can also jump straight out of the gym when the opportunity presents itself. Now add that with the fact that they both won the Most Improved Player award, you have to agree with me that PG and T-Mac have a lot in common. Steph Curry and MAHMOUD ABDUL RAUF. I know everyone thinks that we have never seen a player like Steph before, but that's not entirely true. We've actually seen somebody like him in the past. Well, maybe not as good as Steph, but at least a lesser version of him. And I'm talking about MAHMOUD ABDUL RAUF. You see, just like Curry, they both are natural three-point specialists and are obsessed with mastering the art of shooting. They have such a lightning quick release that even elite defenders have a hard time closing out on their shots, especially when they are coming off screens. They somehow find a way to shimmy into open areas and find just enough space to get off a shot, even with barely any daylight. Their killer crossovers and ball fakes can be frustrating for any defender. Also, they are both very underrated finishers around the rim. And if it wasn't for Mahmoud's Tourette syndrome cutting his career short, he could have had the potential to be Steph Curry even before there ever was Steph Curry. HAKEEM OLAJUWON and Joel Embiid. I know it might seem crazy to already compare Embiid to Olajuwon this early, but I've seen him play just enough to where I can already see similarities in their games. We already can see that Joel Embiid has extreme confidence in his game when he's on the court, much like we saw in Olajuwon. They have terrific instincts of scoring the ball for a big man, with overwhelming footwork for their size. It's a nightmare for defenders to guard them down in the post, because they are so crafty and very light on their feet. They have a nice touch when it comes to the mid-range jumper, and they can do it with efficiency. I hope Joel can stay healthy, because I'm very excited to see if we have another HAKEEM in the making. Magic Johnson and LeBron James. I know you've heard this comparison plenty of times, but they absolutely belong on this list. You can make an argument that LeBron James is one of the greatest point guards of all time, and he's not even a point guard, but he can easily play that role just as good as any of them. Now Magic Johnson is actually labeled as a point guard, and they are relatively the same size. They're both unbelievable in transition, with abnormal speed for their sizes, and it makes it very difficult to stay in front of them. They have brilliant passing skills that sets up their teammates and always making everybody around them better. Now tie that in with their incredible vision and you have an all-around complete player. Most defenders don't even know how to guard them because they are so unpredictable. 1 second you think they're gonna pass it, then they shoot it, or 1 second you think they're gonna pull up and shoot it, then they make an insane pass. They both came into the league not much of a shooter, but they worked on it, and over time they became respectable from the outside. When it's all said and done, LeBron James and Magic Johnson will both have a spot on Mount Rushmore. Rod Strickland and Kyrie Irving. We all know that there's not much players out there that are like Kyrie Irving because he's such a unique and talented basketball player. But if I absolutely had to compare him to somebody, what better player would I choose other than his godfather himself, Rod Strickland? Yes, you heard me correctly. Rod Strickland is Kyrie Irving's godfather. And that's not the only connection they have. They also have a very similar style of play and a similar frame. Their crazy ball handling skills are jaw-dropping, and good luck guarding them one-on-one because their ISO game is scary good. And once they inevitably blow right past you, they can trust their uncanny ability to convert on all angles around the basket. Now this might not be the correct term, but you know what they say, like Godfather, like son. MANU Ginobili and James Harden. I know it might seem weird to compare Ginobili and Harden at first, but if you really think about it, it will start to make sense. When Harden was growing up, he said he would study Ginobili's game all the time, and it looks like all that studying paid off. Because now, he has that famous Ginobili Eurostep down to a science, and they both have multiple crafty ways to get to the hoop. I know it's obvious, but just in case you didn't notice, they're both left-handed and can shoot the three with consistency, and are crazy efficient at the free throw line. Now this might be something that you shouldn't really brag about, but their flopping ability is so good they deserve an Oscar. And if Harden would have stayed in OKC as their sixth man, these two would have been neck and neck as the greatest to ever come off the bench. But I'm pretty sure Harden is completely fine with his starting role in Houston. John Stockton and Steve Nash. Now was it just me, or does it look like Steve Nash and John Stockton could be related? No, it's not because they both are white. Okay, maybe that's part of it, but mainly because they both played so much alike on the court. Both of them can run a team very efficiently, and were legendary assist masters. Their main focus was to facilitate the ball to their teammates, but there was no doubt that if their team needed some points on the board, they can score at ease. Also, they had a little bit of clutch in their DNA, especially from behind the three-point line. And don't let their size fool you. These two are very tough and always put their bodies on the line and will take a beating for their teams. John Stockton and Steve Nash are some of the best playmakers ever. Pete Maravich and Jason Williams. Pete Maravich and Jason Williams are two of the most exciting players this league has ever witnessed, and if you're not familiar with their birth names, maybe you'll recognize them by their classic nicknames, Pistol Pete and White Chocolate. These two were like finesse ballerinas on the basketball court, with very entertaining style of play that would amaze the fans every game. Their flashy no-look passes would have defenders dazed and confused, and their skilled dribbling ability would make it look like the ball was a yo-yo to their hands. And they made it seem like you were watching an illusionist on the hardwood. Just watching what they can display on the court was worth the price of admission alone. Jason Kidd and Lonzo Ball. Even though Lonzo Ball is not in the NBA yet, and Jason Kidd is already an established Hall of Famer, you can't deny the similarities between the two. Lonzo has been compared to Jason Kidd ever since he was in high school, and I can definitely understand why. They both are team first type players. Jason Kidd had an ability to see the play before it even happened, and that's exactly the case for Lonzo Ball. They're both very gifted distributors, dropping dimes in transition, throwing beautiful outlet passes down the court, and can rack up assists in the half court. Although Kidd developed his shot later, he still turned out to be an all-time great three-point shooter, just like Ball has the potential to be great in that category as well. Although Ball hasn't proved anything to us yet on the pro level, and it is very possible he can turn out to be just another overhyped bust, I don't really see him being a bust. I see him making an immediate positive impact on whatever team drafts him. And last but not least, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I barely even have to use any words to describe the similarities between these two legends. You can just see it with your own two eyes through their movements and body language. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan are remarkable in every aspect and have almost no weaknesses at all. They have all the tools in a toolbox to dominate any game. They had textbook shooting strokes and were nearly unstoppable when they got going. Phenomenal mid-range games, masterful one-on-one offensive skills, can beat any man off the dribble, tremendous finishers at the rim, flawless fadeaway jump shots, unbelievable hang time for days, and will punish mismatches in the post every time. They had legendary clutch genes in their veins and were never afraid to do it late in the game with ridiculous killer instinct. They were relentless on the defensive end with iconic competitive spirit. Their work ethic was unreal, making them two of the greatest to ever lace them up. Now those were some player combinations that I think play extremely alike. Now I want to hear some players that you guys think play just alike. Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.